Let's set in a comfortable meditation posture. Close the eyes. Put your attention on the silence that is always there deep in the mind. Connect with that silence and become that silence. This is the silent witness. You are the silent witness. From this beautiful level of highest consciousness, listen to the words of the Yoga Vasishta. Continuing in Book 4, Chapter 47. Description of innumerable different worlds, their gods and time. Brahmas said, O venerable sage, who is acquainted with all religious doctrines and is versed in all branches of the Vedas, I am set at perfect peace by your holy preaching. I never tire of hearing your speech, which is equally abundant, clear, and elegant. Sage, you have spoken of the birth of Brahma during your lecture on the production of sattva and rajas qualities. I want you to tell me more about the subject. Vasishta answered, there have been many millions of Brahmas and many hundreds of Shivas and Indras, together with thousands of Narayanas that have gone by. There have also been various kinds of beings in many other worlds, having manners and customs widely differing from another. There also will be many other productions in the world simultaneously with others, and many to be born at times remotely distant from one another. Among these, the births of Brahma and the other gods in different worlds are as wonderful as the productions of many things in a magic show. Some creations were made with Brahma as the firstborn, others with Vishnu, and some with Shiva as the next created being. There were some other minor productions of the Munis for the patriarchs. One Brahma was lotus born, another was produced from the water, and a third was born of an egg, and a fourth was produced in the air. In one egg, the sun was born with all its eyes, and in another, Indra as Vasava, Lord of the Vasas. In some, one was born the lotus-eyed Vishnu, and in another, he with his 3 eyes as Shiva. In one age, a solid earth was born, having no holes for the growth of vegetables. In another, it was overgrown with vegetation. In some, it was filled with mountains, and finally covered up by living creatures. The earth was full of gold in some places, and it was a hard ground at others. It was mere mud in many places and covered with copper and other metals in some. There were some wonderful worlds in the universe, and others more wonderful than they. Some are luminous and bright, and others whose light has never reached us. There are some wonderful worlds in the universe and others more wonderful still than they. Some are luminous and bright and others whose light has never reached us. There are innumerable worlds scattered in the vacuum of Brahma's essence, and they are all rolling up and down like waves in the ocean. The splendors of worlds are seen in the Supreme like waves in the sea, and as a mirage in the sandy desert. They abide in him as flowers on a mango tree. It may be possible to count the particles of the solar rays, but not the number of worlds abounding in the Supreme Spirit. These multitudes of worlds rise up and fall in the universal spirit like gnats, flying and following others in swarms during the rainy season. It is not known how long they have been in existence, what numbers have gone by, or how many remain at the present time. They have been rolling without beginning like the waves of the sea. Those that are past and gone had their previous ones, and they their prior ones also. They rise over and over to sink lower and lower again, like the waves of the sea rise aloft and fall low by turns. There are many series of mundane worlds, like the egg of Brahma, which pass away in the thousands like the hours in the course of the year. There are many such bodies beside the world system of Brahma, Brahmananda, revolving at present in the spacious mind of Brahma. Many more physical worlds still grow in the infinity of the divine mind, and they will also vanish away in course of time, like the fleeting sounds in the air. Other worlds will come into existence in the course of their creations, just as pots come to be found of clay and leaves grow from germs in endless succession. The glory of the three worlds appears to sight and consciousness, just like it exists in the divine mind. The rising and falling of worlds is neither true nor wholly false. They are like the bragging of fools and the orchids of the air. All things are like sea waves, which vanish no sooner than they appear to view. They are all like paintings impressed upon the mind. The world is a perspective, and all things are only paintings in it. Without the canvas of the mind, they are not. They are represented in it like figures on a canvas. Those learned in divine knowledge consider creations proceeding from the Spirit of God like showers of rain falling from water contained in the cloud. Visible creation is no more distinct from God than seawater exuding from the earth and the earth itself, or the leaves and seeds of the simul tree from the tree itself. All created beings that you see in their gross or subtle forms have proceeded from the emptiness of the silent witness. They are strung together like a rosary of larger and small gems and beads. Sometimes the subtle air is solidified in the form of atmosphere, and from that is produced the great Brahma, thence called the airborne lord of creatures. Sometimes the atmospheric air is condensed into a solid form, and that gives birth to a Brahma under the title of the atmospheric lord of creation. At another time, light is thickened into a luminous body, and thence is born another Brahma, bearing the name of the luminous Lord of all creatures. Again, some water condensed at another time produces another Brahma, designated the watery Lord of creatures. Sometimes the particles of earth take a denser form and produce a Brahma known as the earthly Brahma. By extraction of the essence of these four Brahmas, a fifth is formed under the name of the fivefold Brahma, who is the creation of the present world. Sometimes by the condensation of water, air, or heat, a being is produced in the form of male or female. Sometimes the speaking mouth of this being, and from its feet and back and eyes, the different men are produced under the names of Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. Sometimes the great being causes a lotus to grow out of his navel, in which is born the great Brahma known as the lotus born. All these theories of creation are idle dreams, false as the dreams in our sleeping state. They are the reveries of fancy, like the whirling currents of water. Tell me, what do you think of these theories in your own judgment? Do they not appear like stories told to children? Sometimes they imagine a being produced in the pure emptiness of the divine mind. This they call the golden and mundane age, which gave birth to the egg-born Brahma. It is also said that the first and divine male casts his seed in the waters, which grows up into a lotus flower, which they call the great world. This lotus is the great womb of the birth of Brahma, and at another time of the sun also. Sometimes the gods, Varuna and Vayu, are born of it. Therefore they are called egg-born. Thus, Rama, are different accounts of the productions of Brahma, the creator. Equally various are the descriptions of this unsolid and unsubstantial creation. I have already told you about the creation of one of these Brahmas and mentioned the production of others without specifying their several works. It is agreed by all that creation is only the development of divine mind. Although I have described various processes of its production for your acquaintance, the pure and other productions of which I told you before have all come to existence in the manner I have described for you. Now, know the endless succession of all things in the world. Creation is followed by destruction. Like pleasure is followed by pain, and ignorance is followed by knowledge, and bondage by liberation. Fair creations and objects of affection being gone, others come to rise in future as lamps at home are lit and extinguished by turns. The production and destruction of all bodies are like those of Brahma and the lamps. They assume their forms in their time, but become as undistinguishable mass after death. The four ages of the world, namely the Surya, Trita, Dvipara, and Kali Yugas, revolve in endless rotation like the wheel of the potter or of any other engine. The Manvantaras and Kalpa cycles succeed one another like day and night, morning and evening, and the times of work follow those of rest. All worlds and things are under the subjection of time. They are subject to repeated successions, and there is nothing without its rotation. They all proceed of their nature from the vacuum of divine consciousness, like sparks of fire flash from a red-hot iron. All things, the once manifest, are next concealed in the divine mind. Just as a season's fruits and flowers disappear after their appearance in season. All productions are only fluctuations of the mind of the Supreme Spirit, the silent witness. Their appearances to our view are like the sight of two moons to weak eyes. It is the consciousness alone that exhibits these appearances to our view. They are always situated in consciousness, though they appear outside it like beams from an inner disk. Brahmas, know that the world is never in existence. It is a motionless show of the power that resides in the silent witness. It is never as it appears to you, but quite a different thing from what it seems to be. It is a show that depends on the power of the omnipotent silent witness. The conclusion of the learned holds good to the present time. What world exists since the great will of God? There are no more any other world to come into existence in the future. All this is the silent witness to the intelligent. And there is no such thing in the world, which is a mere theory of the unintelligent. We have a prime example of the theories of the unintelligent being displayed in the world today. The group who like to call themselves the global elite, leaders of the World Economic Forum, leaders of the United Nations, leaders of various political organizations around the world, attempting to control and dominate and destroy the human race. These are the classic unintelligent beings who have given so many theories about how the world works. They say we're located on a spinning ball, rotating at 1,000 miles an hour, spinning around the sun, which is 93 million miles away. Just another theory proposed to make individual human beings feel completely negligible, so that they will not value their human existence and will easily give it up on a whim, making them easier to destroy. All is the silent witness. And will continue established as the silent witness and balance all the karmic traces that have arisen from today's reading of the Yoga Vasishta. Employ the technique of Trimana Sanyama on the esoteric Mahamantra, the most powerful technique of balancing all karmic traces to their core. Jai Gurudev.